Philosophy JKD back again to all my good people and not so good people. One Piece chapter 1095 just concluded, and very interesting tips are in this story. First off, we find out that Saint Garcia Saturn is willing to kill Bonnie, but she is only a child. But she may not be human. And one of the biggest hints that I got is when he was raising her up, he said, aim for the head. So is she an AI where somebody put a soul or jewel inside of another artificial creation, basically like a seraphim? That's the first thing that stuck out to me. Um, and also, another thing that stuck out is that Luffy is basically mid-diffing emperors. Now, if the admirals are on the Yonko's level, okay, Luffy basically bodied Kizaru. So if he can body Kizaru, he probably can take the other emperor, the other admirals at this point in the story, which is very interesting because I think that the old man form he takes is like the next transition. It's like the next transition. We've already seen, for example, in Thriller Bark, Luffy's double fruit able to absorb souls. Probably very much like Bonnie can either be an artificial creation or she can implant different realities, are like different timelines into other people. That's a very interesting skill set. And when you really look at it now, opening the door onto these ideas of devils, you know, or Oni, um, and it's interesting because the powers that they have may not even be devil fruits. I think the devil fruits have always been around, but I think that there are abilities based on certain races of people. One, two, I believe that the older the devil fruit, I think the more they're not called devil fruit, or they could be called mythological ones because they're just very old. So I don't think the devil fruits are a production of the void century per se. But what I do believe, okay, is that some of the restrictions placed on certain devil fruits, probably the majority of them, occurred during the void century, 800 plus years ago in One Piece. So chapter 1095 didn't have a lot of things going on in it unless you like pull back the text. For example, we have a flashback where Jenny is with Ivankov and Kuma as slaves. Now, I think that Jenny may actually be Crocodile. That is not very obvious. That's kind of like a pull, but when you really look at how Oda likes to give us twists and turns, I don't know if he's just trying to be elusive or hard to predict, or if he's listening to what people post or the videos people make, and he's trying to just do something different than what they're saying. But I think the reasonable guess would be that Jenny is probably the mother of Bonnie. And I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think I agree with that. So we know Dragon's older than Kuma. Ivankov is one of the founders. So is Vegapunk. And so is Dragon. They're the three leaders of the Revolutionary Army. I I'm more geared to think that Jenny might be Crocodile, and Ivankov actually changed her gender into a he. Because we've seen some very interesting devil fruits, and the only way to overcome some of these devil fruits is with sheer conquerors, sheer hockey, basically. So, in theory, if a person will let themselves be hit by certain devil fruit effects, for example, um, Ivankov's hormone therapy, Jenny could become Crocodile. Or if Kuma has the ability of the pawpaw fruit and they can place ideas and things to other objects, it makes a lot of sense for Bonnie to be an artificial creation. And if Bonnie has herself yokai abilities, okay, and can access other timelines. Maybe she can do something wherein she's able to combine souls together. Wherein I had this theory previously where I thought that many of the Straw Hats would get Devil Fruit powers. Well, the seven warlords all have Seraphim. Is it possible that the former seven warlords all die or something like that? Something happens to them, and that their souls are implanted into the Seraphim, therefore, literally making it like the new worst generation where you don't just have um, you don't just have the worst generation members. You have a new group of older pirates being put into bodies that will basically put them right around the time of the worst generation, where you have Kid, Trafalgar Law, Luffy, and that's a very interesting possibility, I think now, because Otis said he hopes nobody dies. I think that a lot of people are gonna die, but they're gonna have a way to bring them back because you know how One Piece has a big problem with killing off main characters. So this is what I'm reading basically off of chapter 1095. We're on bio week, so I do have some other theories, and I like to actually pull on some of these ones I just briefly mentioned in here. But it's a very interesting flashback. It leaves a lot of room because look what's going on right now. You have more interaction than I originally thought with the Gorosei to the actual lower world. So Saturn was in God's Valley, okay, with other um, celestial dragons. I guess that's the long time since he's been on the surface. Or could it be that the long time he's been on the surface meant that he had never summoned his inner devil in a very long time? So, basically I was right. If I'm right about this, Saturn does not consider himself the actual human being. Saturn, the Gorosei. He actually considers his true self the devil, just like Bruce Wayne considers himself Batman all the time. So I guess I may be right at that. It looks like I am. And so you have the celestial dragons coming down to God's Valley, what they call an unaffiliated island, which is very interesting. So they're still conquesting unaffiliated islands hundreds of years after the Void Century, which is interesting because even today people take sides on other countries not knowing anything about their situation, and then no matter what happens they have their narrative, for example, the right to defend one's own country, but also what about the right to determine one's own fate or one's own destiny, that was a concept basically put through by the EU, I think in 1945. For example, the Palestinian issue, saying they have the right to determine their own fate. But also later it was determined that Israel has the right to protect itself. So it's really about, oh, this affiliation was said like this, and this affiliation says this. So it's just political games being going on. And since God Valley wasn't affiliated with the world government, they treat these people as less than human, like animals to be hunted. Not saying that we should hunt animals, but if you look historically around the world, there are very few civilizations that are uh, human civilizations that just eat vegetables, for example. Humans are omnivores. I mean, we eat both, or some having cannibalistic. So when you eat meat, you hunt, basically. So, in that sense, humans hunt animals, but hunting other people as sport, as animals, or to put them into slavery, is a dehumanizing result of some of the worst demons in human history that really still goes on today. Slavery is not really gone. It just didn't get reported or took a whole new form, and which we wouldn't recognize it. So One Piece, just like that, is already touching on our heartstrings right now with what's going on or being put in front of us in the political social sphere right now. Um, and you have an interesting scenario in God Valley where you have, say, Fearland. It looks like he has abilities like Shanks where he can tell the future. I think the reason he took down the king like he did is because he can look into the future and saw that the people that were with him were not necessarily strong enough but would have come under attack. And he played it off by saying a handicap would be fair for me, because he was already viewed as the favorite. And this before he was the head God's Knight. So that may be a particular ability of certain groups in One Piece, which really makes you want to look at the scenario with Rocks and even Marshall D. Teach a little deeper if they are actually related. Perhaps there's other people on the island, which we know that Rocks pirates will show up on the island because this is the flashback to the God Valley incident. We know that Gold D. Roger will show up. We know that eventually Vice Admiral Garp will be there. So there is something going on, and I had predicted previously that I thought the poison that Goldie Roger was hit by actually came from one of the yokai, in particular, um, Saint Garcia Saturn. So, guys, let me know what you think about chapter 1095. Let me know what you think about some of the headcanon I had in here. That's a lot of it basically proven to be right, even down to the point where I was thinking that Saint Garcia Saturn was an avatar. So I'm still right on point. It's a gift and a curse. So, it's philosophy. Um, Signing out. But don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. The views are going up, but the subscriptions aren't going up too much. So, try to support the boy since you're watching the videos, whoever you are. And peace.